Hey everyone, it's the Metroidvania Guru, and welcome to the very first Metroidvania Quarterly Roundup, where I recap all the Metroidvanias released in the past 3 months. Today, we're covering Quarter 1 of 2025, and let me tell you, this year is already stacked. I'll be breaking this down into 2 parts. Part 1, the Metroidvanias I've played and made videos about. And Part 2, the Metroidvanias I haven't covered yet, but I might have dabbled with a little. With introductions out of the way, let's kick this off with the Metroidvanias I've covered. These are the games I've already shared my thoughts on, but if you missed any of my reviews, here's a quick recap of each one. Blade Chimera, a fast-paced cyberpunk Metroidvania where you wield a sentient sword to battle nightmarish creatures in a dystopian city. The combat and animations are fluid, the world is stylish, and the story has some unexpected depth. Not the most challenging MV, but fun all the same thanks to its punchy, arcadey presentation and over-the-top fast travel system. My favorite Team Ladybug MV release to date. That makes 3 MV bangers under their belts. I gave Blade Chimera a 9 out of 10 and placed it in the C tier. Somber Echoes, a dark, atmospheric Metroidvania that takes place on a destroyed spacecraft that follows a revenge tale between 2 sisters. This is a Metroidvania with great presentation, decent combat, and some cool hooks like javelin throwing and the always cool ether lantern, a nice take on the double jump that you get at the start of the game. About mid-game, it turns into a puzzle platformer, but a unique one I actually enjoyed thanks to how active and engaging the puzzles were. I liked the game's platforming, and I loved its narrator, but I was not a fan of its fast travel. Hopefully, the devs have worked all that out. I gave Somber Echoes an 8 out of 10 and placed it in the B tier. Ender Magnolia, Bloom in the Mist. A beautifully hand-drawn Metroidvania set in the land of fumes, a dying land full of magic, homunculi, and rot. A sequel to the greatest Metroidvania of all time, according to me, Ender Magnolia is a visually stunning game with a deep and engaging world. There's some minor pacing issues, and I feel like aspects of the story were either poorly explained or not explored enough. But overall, a fantastic entry into the genre. And many of you have asked which game is better, so I'll take a definitive stance. The better game, mechanically, is easily Ender Magnolia. But atmospherically and narratively, Ender Lily's reigns supreme. To this day, I still think about Lily and everything she and that kingdom went through. Ender Magnolia? I haven't really thought about it since I beat it. But that doesn't mean I don't love it. Because I gave Ender Magnolia a 9.5 out of 10 and placed it in the S tier. Laika, Aged Through Blood, Switch release. Laika is a unique mix of Metroidvania and motorbike combat, set in a post-apocalyptic world run by anthropomorphic animals. The movement and bike mechanics set this game apart. I enjoyed the game's trial-esque movement and combat, but I just couldn't wrap my head around all the flipping. I was just terrible at this game, but I still liked it a lot. The narrative and characters were great, and I loved the world. My biggest issues was how long the game was. 20 hours with only 2 traversal upgrades? That's kinda rough for an MV. Regardless, I gave Laika Aged Through Blood a 7.5 and placed it in the D tier. It's a good game, but just not one your average MV enjoyer is going to prioritize. ReSetna, a 2.5D Metroidvania set in a mysterious world full of lore and secrets where you play as a robot who must eliminate the signal that's driving every other robot mad. ReSetna's kind of an underdog story. When I initially played it, I found a lot to enjoy, but it was clearly unpolished. But after a dozen or so upgrades in just a month, the ReSetna team released a completely overhauled and improved game with its Ruby Armor upgrade. After a second playthrough, I was thoroughly impressed. Combat felt much better, the levels and enemies were remixed, new enemies were added. It was just a much better experience. I gave ReSetna a 7 out of 10 and placed it in the C tier. Guns of Fury, a high-octane run-and-gun Metroidvania filled with explosions, gunplay, and non-stop action. This game is pure adrenaline. If you love Metal Slug, chaotic combat, and explosions, you owe it to yourself to play Guns of Fury. There's not a whole lot else to say. I absolutely freaking love this game. I hated its in-game map at launch, but it's been updated to color code the biomes, so I can't complain about that anymore. I guess I could complain about how hard it is to 100% this game, so if you're a completionist, be wary going into this one. I gave Guns of Fury an 8.5 out of 10 and placed it in the B tier. Probably deserves A tier after its fixes. Maybe that'll be a video for another time. Ultros, Switch release. Ultros is a psychedelic, surreal Metroidvania with a vibrant world, deep lore, a crazy cool late game mechanic, all delivered in a package that is far more clever than most people will give it credit for. It's actually tough to talk about Ultros without spoiling things. The best thing I can say about it is that everything you could complain about, the game does intentionally and then does something to make it not worth complaining about anymore. I know that's vague, but like I said, this game is too freaking smart for its own good. And I hate how its roguelike sounding mechanic can be a turnoff for MV players. But I promise, it's not a big deal and minimalizes itself as you progress. That said, Ultros isn't my favorite MV, but I respect the heck out of it. I gave Ultros an 8 out of 10 and placed it in the B tier. Morkull, Ragast's Rage. A Metroidvania about a video game character who knows he's a video game character and wants to break out of his video game prison. This is such a disappointing MV. It looks so good, but man, playing it is a whole different story. And the story? I don't know. It has a good premise, but writing self-aware humor and fourth wall breaking antics is not for everyone. There's just a lot of potential here that just wasn't realized. And for a game that's only 2 to 4 hours long, it's a tough sell. I gave Morkull, Ragast's Rage a 4 out of 10 and placed it in the D tier. Tiny Dangerous Dungeons Remake. This game is a remake of a retro Game Boy inspired Metroidvania that has tight platforming and simple but addictive gameplay. Dungeons is a fun little throwback that doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not groundbreaking, but it's a great nostalgia trip. It's short and sweet, so there's really not a lot to say about it. It'll take you like 3 hours to get through it, and you'll most likely be having fun. It's an easy game, probably best suited for inexperienced gamers and children, but still a solid title that I enjoyed. I gave Tiny Dangerous Dungeons Remake an 8 out of 10 and placed it in the B tier. Scarlet, City of Devils. Scarlet is a combat-focused Metroidvania where you play as a demon girl in a demon city threatened by ferality. I like this game. It's pretty straightforward with its corridors filled with enemies and its light approach to platforming, but I had such a good time with its time stop mechanic and I found its bosses to be pretty challenging. I gave Scarlet, City of Devils a 7 out of 10 and placed it in the C tier. Beyond the Ice Palace 2, a sequel to an old Amiga game 36 years in the making. Beyond the Ice Palace 2 casts you as a cursed king who's risen from the dead to take back his kingdom. I got some heat for covering this game because it's quote-unquote a classic Vania and not a Metroidvania. Of course, I disagree with that sentiment. If anyone can name a classic Vania that lets you fast travel, has light RPG progression systems, necessary backtracking, and ability gating, go ahead and drop it in the comments. And Castlevania 2 doesn't count, it's the grandfather of Metroidvanias. In truth, Beyond the Ice Palace 2 lies somewhere between classic Vania and Metroidvania, and I don't see why it can't be among other MVs. The best argument against it not being an MV is that it doesn't have an interconnected world and that it's stage-based. And honestly, if we were to go by that logic, we'd have to toss a bunch of MVs aside. Dust and Elysian Tale, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, Blaster Master 0, 2, and 3, and the list goes on. Anyway, diatribe over. Beyond the Ice Palace 2 is a solid game that I say shares more MV DNA than it doesn't. Now, is it a great MV? Not really, but it is a good game. I gave Beyond the Ice Palace 2 an 8 out of 10 and placed it in the C tier. Gal Guardians, Servants of the Dark. A gothic Metroidvania featuring dual demonic maids with some vine whipping and gunplay action. This is another one I got some heat for due to my high tier placement. People thought the game was unfinished, unpolished, and or mediocre. Worse yet, some people just hated the game thanks in large part to its poor implementation of its fast travel system, which I completely agree with. Limiting leveling your character and ability acquisition to the throne room and forcing players to backtrack heavily in the early game. It's tedious and can be permanent if you miss collecting an NPC's soul. Definitely a bold design choice. Because of all these varied experiences I've been hearing from people, I may consider bumping the game down. I'll give it a month or so to see if the devs implement better tutorials and or a better early game fast travel solution, but I genuinely enjoyed this game and had a very good experience with it. It's a bit easy, but I loved the pixel work, characters, and the plethora of unique progression systems. I gave Gal Guardians Servants of the Dark an 8 out of 10 and placed it in the B tier. Cookie Cutter Nintendo Switch release. A violent, high-energy Metroidvania with an over-the-top punk aesthetic, brutal combat, and a talking vagina. The Overkill Edition dropped at the end of March and added a whole bunch of updates as well as brought the game to the Switch. Cookie Cutter's animations are top tier, and its bright, cartoony visuals mixed with hyper-violence is definitely something I dig. Its combat took me a minute to warm to, but I ultimately liked that too. But the game ends on a huge cliffhanger that I'm hoping the team will give us some more content and closure for. I gave Cookie Cutter a 7.5 out of 10 and placed it in the B tier. That's it for all the games I covered in Q1. Next, let's dive into the Metroidvanias I haven't covered yet, but might still check out. Momibosu, a fast-paced precision platformer with light Metroidvania elements. Momibosu challenges players with tight movement mechanics and a unique combat system. I gotta be like halfway through the game. I like it. I think its narrative is intriguing, but man does the game make me mad with its tough platforming. As for my excitement level on this game, I'd say I'm lukewarm. I love how open it is, but that can be a double-edged sword. I got somewhere and got stuck because I haven't unlocked the double jump yet, which is apparently something I should have unlocked a while ago. Whoops. Super Roboy, a charming Metroidvania where you control a tiny but powerful robotic warrior, fighting off waves of mechanical foes and mutants in search of his father. I hate that I haven't made a video on Super Roboy yet. I've completed it and got its true ending, and I can tell you, it's so freaking good. It might be my second favorite MV that's come out this year, with Magnolia being number 1. Mark of the Deep, a nautical-themed Metroidvania where you explore the depths of an ancient sunken city, battling eldritch horrors and uncovering long-lost secrets. I have zero history with this one. I hear it's good, but I just haven't had time to play it. My excitement level on this one isn't too high. Isometric platformers have just never been my thing. Oirbo. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but anyways, it's a cute sci-fi Metroidvania where you play as a small, boxy robot dude navigating a space station filled with environmental hazards and other robots. I have no history with this game, but it looks cool and cute. I'd say my excitement for this one is lukewarm. I just haven't heard anyone talking about it, and it looks very platformer heavy with basic combat, like jump on enemy's head type combat. I have nothing against this kind of combat, it just doesn't get me excited. Cosmic, A Journey Among Shadows. A dark, atmospheric Metroidvania featuring a protagonist who can manipulate light and shadow to solve puzzles and fight enemies. This is yet another MV I haven't touched yet, and yet it is also another MV that I'm lukewarm on. Its main character looks cute, but everything is just so dark, and there's this light and dark mechanic where you use your shadow to fight. That's kinda cool. I'll definitely check it out eventually. Slumbering Feline, a whimsical cat-themed Metroidvania where you play as a mystical feline navigating dreamlike landscapes while harnessing powerful abilities. And guess what? I haven't touched it yet. I'm actually a little excited for this one. I like its art direction and am intrigued by its premise. Plus, the price is right. It's free and only like an hour long, I hear. Could be a quick MV fix. Witchroid Vania, a magical girl's fantastical adventures. A charming Metroidvania blending magical girl aesthetics with RPG mechanics. I know nothing about it other than it has magical girl vibes and a little dragon, fairy companion who follows you around. So basically, this game was made for me. I'm actually really excited for this one. I'll keep my expectations low, but I'm actually digging what this game's putting down. Could be a good time. Twilight Monk, a beautifully illustrated action Metroidvania inspired by martial arts fantasy based on a book series of the same name. I have the game in my library, but I haven't touched it yet. Super excited for this one. I'll have a video for it within the coming week, so stay tuned. INAYAH, Life After Gods, a dark philosophical Metroidvania where players explore a crumbling world once ruled by gods, now left in ruins after their fall. I actually completed this game with the good ending. I had a bit of a roller coaster ride trying to figure out if I liked it or not. Thankfully, I ended up enjoying it a lot. You'll be seeing a review on it real soon. And finally, we have Rolling Star, a hand-drawn MV from the mind who gave us Tomomi. And unfortunately, I have not touched it yet. I'm actually a huge fan of Tomomi and can't wait to get my hands on Rolling Star. So, excitement levels are pretty high on this one. And that's a wrap on my Metroidvania Roundup for Q1 of 2025. What do you think of my tier placements for the games I've played? And more importantly, out of the ones I haven't played yet, which one should I cover next? As always, drop a comment below, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for more Metroidvania content. Later, nerds!